Welcome into the Ticket Punchers here on 96.1 FM, 1450 AM, Big X Sports Radio. I'm your host, Roman Kelly, joined by my co-host, Curtis Phillips, a.k.a. Philly Picks, as we take you guys down till 6 o'clock, per usual here on the Big X, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Curtis, a lot we're going to be discussing, a lot we're going to be getting into, but of course, we preface our show with always letting the listeners know we want you guys in on the show with our Game Day Mintel text line, or if you're watching virtually, get in on the chat as well. But our Game Day Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. Game Day Men's Health is redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, and sexual performance therapy. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com, defining a new era in men's health. Curtis, how are you today, sir? How has your Wednesday been treating you? How were the punches last night? We'll get to that after, but tell me how you've been doing.
Going good, Roman. Good Wednesday. As far as the punches go, last night we do go 2-2 with one void. We were on the athletics plus 1.5. Didn't come through. Bullpen got pretty touched up there. So we missed on that. Cardinals was our void of the day. Them versus the Brewers. That game was postponed. Braves money line ends up coming through for us. Good plus money there against the Mariners. Edged it out in the ninth inning. We missed on Donovan Mitchell's over 25.5 points. Finished with 23.
We'll be getting into that today for sure.
Yeah, a little tough shooting night there and kind of a bad beat, but it was kind of a slow start in that second half. And then we were on the Lakers team total under 98.5, which came through. Yeah, so overall 2-2 night. Missed on our dinger plays, but back for some punches on Wednesday. So
can't get every single dinger right. That's one of the tougher things in betting, is betting the home run props and trying to see if you've got the right ballpark, the right weather, the right pitchers, and the right bats when you're betting them. It's all of those goes into that, and then you still got to have good luck, extremely good luck on top of that. But you're still in the positive money with the wagers on our dingers for sure. Curtis, I've had a pretty good Wednesday. Nothing too crazy. Pretty good run in with Roman show earlier in the day with Matt Childress, where we discussed a few different things. A couple of things we'll get into today. Some things that we'll get into more so here on our show, obviously, with the matchups we'll have tonight in the NBA. Curtis, I didn't get a chance to send you the outline today, but obviously we're gonna get into tonight's matchups in a couple of different realms of sports. Were you able to get your April record? Not the league, maybe league by league, but did you get the full count up done?
I'm still a couple days missing, so I promise by tomorrow they will be out. If we don't have a show, but I'll get those posted on X. I'm a few days short for April, so I want to make sure I have all my days.
Probably having to go back and rewatch a couple shows and stuff to go and figure out the play. I had to go back and rewatch one day's show to get my official record. Still haven't gotten the league by league because that's going between every single day. Looking at those, if you didn't mark which one was the winner or the loser, and you just wrote that team down and then wrote the record for that day, then you still have to go back, bring up that day's box scores to figure out if that was a win or loss specific to that league. Haven't gotten there yet, but I was 42-36 in April, Curtis. Not bad at all. Not what we want. Not the best start to May. We were 2-3 going into yesterday's punches. We fall to 3-6 on the month of May. I feel like we've had a couple of months like this. We haven't had a negative month yet on the ticket punchers, but we had a couple of months like this where we've started slow and had to win our way back, and we're okay with that. We're going to try to do that a little bit tonight. We hit last night on the Cade Cunningham 2+3s. We probably should have took his points and assist prop because we don't hit on the 25+ points, Curtis, but I'm pretty sure he hit on his PRA. He has finishes with 23 points, and that's all needed from him last night. Coincidentally, we talked about Cade on the Run In with Run show. We've talked about Cade on the In and Out show on the Real Spill podcast, and we've also talked about him here on the Ticket Punchers. To get the best out of the Pistons, you need the best out of Cade, usually in the scoring department, on top of the playmaking, defending, floor spacing, fundamental stuff, leadership stuff, right? You need him to go get his 27, 28, 29, 30 as well. It's cool to see that they can go out there and win without that being the case. But with that being said, what was up with those Cavs last night, Philly? I mean, I don't know if they just were still kind of lagging through the game 7 stuff. The shot selection just wasn't really what you wanted it to be. The half court offense wasn't really clean cut, like looking like a team that's been prepared for the second round all season long. Not necessarily saying that they're giving Cavs from last year in the second round, but it does feel like that this team is kind of resembling some things that you saw in last year's second round, where you're going to have to rely heavily on the scoring and you're not really sure what you're going to get outside of that. talk about what you saw last night. I'm sure you watched the game and were able to see some stats and whatnot within the performances as well. Are we worried about Donovan Mitchell? I know it's an overreaction, but it's after what we saw last night. Are we kind of worried about D Mitch and his chances of getting past this series?
Yeah, the Cavs overall, I'm not going to overreact for game one, but just overall this playoffs, I mean, the Cavs have pretty much looked a little discombobulated, especially on the offensive end for majority of the playoffs. I seen a stat yesterday where Harden, I believe, had 43 turnovers through the first 8 games, which is, I mean, it just can't happen as your point guard. I get you heavily have the ball in your hands, but like this has been a reoccurring thing for years with James Harden, his playoff performances. So, and then yeah, D Mitch, he didn't have a terrible game yesterday, but I don't know, he needs to pick it up as a guy that's your
Didn't seem
number
like
one
he was
scoring
as
option.
aggressive as he needed to be.
Exactly, and he showed that throughout the playoffs so far. So I don't know. The Cavs offense has definitely been, stagnant. Jared Allen couldn't even play a lot of minutes last night with his, not as good defense on Durant. But the Cavs, I can't really pinpoint like one single thing with the Cavs. I think it's a lot of like multiple things to cause those issues going on with the Cavs. But
I feel
I don't
like
know.
one of the issues that I'm seeing with the Cavs is I'm not going to call them 3-point hunters, Curtis, but it feels like everything's trying to revolve around what can happen at the 3-point line first, and not with the slashing ability and get downhill ability of Harden and D Mitch, and then where the playmaking and ball movement that we've seen from the Cavs, especially last year, and then when Harden first got there. Uh, that's what Cavs basketball needs to be. Not necessarily saying ISO ball with Harden and D Mitch, space the floor, drive and kick. You need to have your off-ball screening, your off-ball sets, setting up those guys like Dean Wade, Sam, Max Strus to come in and hit those threes like they've done. You still need more, I think, with those two getting downhill and becoming those threats as scorers. What they can do to a defense and the gravity of a on a defense, make them shift. That has to be where things start. And it kind of feels like you're just kind of seeing some, well, let's take what the defense gives and see if we can get a good shot. And if not, we'll see if one of these two guys can get to their spots. And it's just not leading to a lot of good, clean looks. Harden goes 1 for 7 from 3. Donovan hits 4 threes. He shoots 10 of them. It's just there are a lot of looks that felt like you weren't getting the best out of Donovan. And then a couple of those threes came in like end of like they were deep end of possession, not necessarily clean looks. He's just an excellent shot maker. You need him to start getting downhill, consistently getting to the free throw line. 2 free throw attempts for him. I get that that's more of Harden's role, but Donovan Mitchell needs to be getting to the free throw line more. This team needs to be revolving around what they can do with pressure on the rim offensively. And then I think the deflections, the defensive stuff, we know that they can't really just sit up on the stool and stick guys up with Harden and D Mitch out there. But at the same time, you can make teams play a little bit faster when your offense is running. You're getting good, clean looks. It makes them want to have to kind of fight back. You get off to that lead. Teams come with bad shots. Now you're able to get out in transition. So they're just they're not playing true Cavs basketball right now. I'm not necessarily saying they don't have a chance, but they need to get back to that for me to feel confident in them and getting out of this series. Because if the Pistons are scoring 111 that comfortably and keeping you at bay for the number of quarters that they did, right? 37 points in the first quarter, then they can kind of ease off. You came with a good run there in the third, but you didn't respond correctly in the fourth like you needed to, and they were able to keep them right at arm's distance. So I expect the Pistons to kind of do the same thing in game 2, but I expect the Cavs to perform better than they did offensively there. Looking at the other game last night, Curtis, you called it. Lakers under 98.5, yada, yada, yada. They cover that. And interesting thing about this series or this first game to me was LeBron was the best player on the floor last night, Curtis. JJ's game plan for the most part did its thing. We just didn't hit the shots we needed to. Defensively, holding the Thunder 108 points, holding Shea to under 20 points, getting LeBron in his spots. Yeah, he had hit a couple of tough shots, but he had a very efficient 27 points because he was just putting the good areas and had the right guys making the right play alongside of him, outside of Austin Reeves, outside of Jake LaRavia. I felt like we did enough defensively. If we could have just got more offensively, this would have been a better game. They don't win a single quarter by more than 6 points. But through casually beating us consistently that much through 4 quarters, win by 18. It's that simple. You're going to need way more from Austin Reeves if you want a chance in this series. But I also think that it does feel a little bit more possible now, with that being said, after what I watched last night. Yes, I know they're going to respond the same way in game 2 to Austin Reeves. I expect him to be better. I expect him to do even more playmaking, right? And him to try to get to the free throw line and play as much as he can above the rim. I know it's tough for a guy that's not really his game. He relies more on that shiftiness, that footwork stuff, and using defenders and putting them in tough spots and kind of using that footwork and his head fakes to his advantage. He's going to have to play with a little bit more strength and a little bit more pace. That being said, Curtis, the Thunder are the favorites for a reason. So you kind of expected them a little bit to handle business in game 1. I also did feel like, though, if the Lakers were going to have a shot in these first 2 games, it was going to be in game 1, not in game 2. What did you think of game 1 last night?
Yeah, can you still hear me, Roman?
Yep. Sound good.
Yeah, so Lakers, I mean, through 2.5 quarters, y'all were pretty competitive. Like, you was getting the stops on defense. Like you said, you held the Thunder to 108 points, which you feel like is a win, but your others, you got to hit your shots. Marcus Smart, he started off with having a good game, and then ended up being a really tough shooting night. But I mean, that's just what the Thunder can do to you. Like, they're a pesty defense. Any live ball turnovers, like, it's almost a bucket, each and every time. So, but that's just what the Thunder can do to you. They can force missed shots. Like, Reeves having a bad game, like you saw in the first series, like Devin Booker, they eliminated what he wanted to do. Like, he's not getting to the rim. They're forcing the ball out of his hands. And even if they're not, they're forcing him to take tough shots. So that's just what the Thunder do. But yeah, Lakers, I mean, they got to play. You almost have to play like a near perfect game to beat the Thunder. So, but yeah, that was pretty much my overall thoughts.
Yeah, it'll be tough betting in the series going forward. You don't know what you're.
Can you hear me, Curtis?
Yeah, was that Roman that cut off, or was that me?
No, that was Roman. He said that, so he just texted me and he just said that his power flickered off for a bit. So I was just jumping in to fill in with you while he gets that figured. He said he's going to join in from his phone just for a second.
Okay, sounds good.
But he wanted me to ask you. So I know that last time you and I talked, you were big on the MLB. Is there any teams you like right now in the MLB? Is there any plays you're looking at right now in the MLB?
Yeah, so I already dropped 2 official punches that were three official punches that were in the earlier slate. We was on Rays money line. That came through. We missed on the Cardinals money line. We had that play yesterday, got postponed. They played today. That play did miss. So we're 1-1 right now. And then our other play in the early slate was the over in the Padres Giants game. sitting at 6 runs. We was on the over 8.5. Sitting at 6 runs right now in the bottom of the 8th. So we're gonna need a little magic right there to come through on that end. But as far as the late slate goes, I do like a few official punches for the late slate. We're gonna be on Byron Buxton's 3+ hits, runs, and RBIs sitting at plus 103. And this guy's he's on an absolute heater. He's hit a home run in 6 of his last 8 games. So if he just hits a solo home run right there, we'll cash. So yeah, I like his 3+ hits, runs, and RBI, especially going up against Michaelis. I know he doesn't have great history versus Michaelis, but I mean, Michaelis he's one of the worst starting pitchers in the league. I think Twins offense gets rolling tonight. So Byron Buxton, 3+ hits, runs, and RBIs will be my first official punch. Secondly, I will be on the Yankees team total over 4.5, sitting at minus 115. And Yankees, they're on just one of those stretches where, I mean, they're just putting up a boatload of runs. Since the month of May has started, 7, 9, 11, 12, and 7 runs. So going up against Eovaldi, who they just faced last week. Few of these Yankees hitters have great history versus him. He's not as good of a pitcher on the road as he is at home. Right now, sitting at a 5.66 ERA on the road. 3 of the 4 teams he's faced on the road, they have scored at least 5 runs. So I do love those 2 plays in the MLB for the late slate.
I like all those. I was actually curious to you, Curtis, in general, because I know that you are, you watch as a handicapper, you watch kind of sports in a broad spectrum. You kind of look around for bets all across, every league you can possibly find. But around this time of the year, I feel like a lot of the average casual sports fan, basketball and football are out of the picture now, besides the NBA playoffs going on, but that's about to be over here soon. Is there anything that you look at in this kind of, some people call it the dead period of the sports season that kind of excites you with all these other smaller sports, baseball, golf, NHL going on in the playoffs right now? Is there anything that excites you about those smaller sports rather than the 2 main ones?
Yeah. So I grew up playing baseball, so it's just natural of, me watching MLB. Like, I honestly didn't watch a lot of MLB growing up. I kind of started a little bit after high school, but just the fact of playing it and just watching it, it kind of gives me a little better sense, I would say, to just how the game goes. I already know how the game operates, so it's just a sport that I love to watch, love to handicap, and it's been since I started or betting, at least back in 2021. This is one of the sports I started on, and it just kind of clicked ever since. Been my first or second most profitable sport, each and every year. So I'm pretty locked into baseball, and I really love the dead period around June, July, when that's pretty much one of the only sports on. A lot of people's asking me my bets and stuff, and I don't mind giving them out. So I love this, period.
Well, it seems like we have Roman Kelly back in here now. Roman, is your house good?
Yeah, I don't know what happened, fellas. The power flickered on and off, which obviously lost the Wi-Fi for a little bit. And I literally was already on Google Chrome on the computer, already almost back into the studio by phone. So I just waited the extra 30 seconds or so and joined on the computer again to get the better mic quality. But I don't know if I'm lagging her out or not. I don't know if it's sounding clear fully at this point. It seems like the Wi-Fi is not doing the job that it was doing before this all happened, with how much I'm lagging back and forth on my own end. But you guys sound good. Appreciate you so much. Matt Childress back at the Big X Studios, coming in for us and chatting with Curtis, our co-host, as I had to deal with those technicalities. Asking Curtis a good personal question right there, centered around some backstory on how he got to handicapping baseball to he does. I probably need to do a little bit more of that. I mean, I asked Curtis how his day is going, but we need to start asking specific questions every day about whatever we can to Curtis, because we need the listeners to be more in tune with him and life's like, and not just his bets and what he's taking every day. But we'll get into so much, Matt. Matt, do you have a big bet for us today? What's the Matt bet of the day?
My bet of the day, honestly, I'm kind of still, even though it flopped out the other day because Anthony Edwards made the surprise, jump into that game against the Spurs. I'm still heavy on the Spurs tonight. I don't think they cover the massive spread they're on, but I like the Spurs tonight to take that 1-1 series, tie the series tonight, and put the Timberwolves back in their place.
I'm not mad at that, Matt. I like them to bounce back as well.
Go ahead, Curtis.
I was just saying, I like them to bounce back as well.
Yeah, I don't see the Wolves going up 2-0. But then again, if Anthony Edwards plays tonight, you really never know. I like him there's a few different things in this game I like, actually. Curtis, and let's get right into it. We know what we saw in the fourth quarter in game one. And because of that, I'm weary. I'm not going to lose money on Rudy Gobert again. He didn't cover the 12 rebounds for us. He should have, with how long he spent in the game at 2. He still did, however, have the 10. The player who did impress me from the rebounding department was Julius Randle. I thought he played an extremely aggressive game. He's going to have to do so in this one tonight with just the overall load being on his shoulder. We're going to play his rebounds a little bit up. His line sitting at 7 for his 6+ is at 180. We're going to play over 6.5, Curtis, at plus 100 on Julius Randle tonight for our first official punch of the night. That's going to be a big bet in that matchup. And I've got one more player prop as well. This one's in the first game. The Knicks 76ers, who will be going at it at 7:10 p.m. I'm on OG in this one, Curtis. I think that he's going to be in a spot to have a pretty big role tonight. I don't see him necessarily getting to the 20 mark, but I like him for the over 15.5 mark, his alternate line. You can catch the odds on that right now at, let me have this written down. Let's go see if it's the same right now at minus 188. I like OG. I like OG tonight. I think he'll be the second factor more so than potentially count Towns in this one, even without Embiid playing. Curtis, without Embiid, though, I mean, people are – I've been back and forth all day. My group chat, me and my friends have been debating this all day. The 76ers, I don't see Nick Nurse not playing them close, even without Embiid. They're used to playing without Embiid. I'm going to drop the plus 10.5.
You stole my official punch. Took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I love the Sixers tonight. I think they're an outright dog, if I'm being honest. We saw in the last series, Sixers, Celtics, game 2, unexpectedly, Sixers did not have Embiid. What did they do? Went into Boston and stole one on the road. I think they can do the exact same thing tonight versus the Knicks. I think game 1 was a very, very bad spot for the 76ers. I know it's not a long travel going to New York, but just coming off of game 7, basically no travel. 2 days later, you're right into the next series. Kind of similar to the Cavs situation last night. And whereas the Knicks had a few days off to rest and get a little bit more prepared for this series, Sixers didn't have that. So game 1, I think, was a bad spot. Game 2, even without Embiid, I think they come out hungry. And 10.5, that's just way too much. I'm glad I waited on the Embiid because I was gonna take the plus 7.5 this morning, but at plus 10.5, I absolutely love the 76ers in this spot. So that'll be my we'll share that official punch, Roman.
I like it. Tail that with us if you guys are interested in that one right there. We're both going to be on the 76ers plus 10.5. Curtis, how do you feel about the over-under in this game? I know that we didn't you can only gauge so much from a blowout. Obviously, if the Knicks are capable of scoring 137 points, it's definitely capable of going over in this one. I don't see the Knicks scoring that many points again, but for the sake of the chance of the blowout, I'm going to play the over 213.5. I see this one being a close 107 with 2 minutes to go, 109, 111 to 109, ending like at 113, 112 kind of a game. And I'm going to play the over as well. And if the Knicks do blow them out, I think they're scoring 120 plus, and the 76ers should get up to that 98 to 100 mark again. So We're going to play the over 213 as well as a triple punch. And now we have ourselves a same game parlay worth of official punches in this one. What else you got for tonight? Just about 2 minutes before we get out of here.
Yeah, I'll just elaborate on that real quick. I mean, I do love the over. All 5 games this season between these two teams have went pretty much way over this line. So I do like some scoring in this. But as far as official punches, that will pretty much wrap me up as well. Like I said, I just had the 3 earlier in the early slate for MLB. I already dropped my 2 for tonight, and then just the 1 NBA. If you want to put in a parlay piece, I like the Phillies on the money line tonight. I believe around -170. Zach Wheeler on the mound, their ace. Few games back from injury. I do like them to take care of the A's. And then I'm on the Twins. I like the team total over the 4.5, sitting around -140. Not dropping that as official, but if you want to add that to a parlay or parlay piece, excuse me, I think they can get to Michaelis and the Nationals bullpen. So that'll be it for me.
That'll be it. That's going to wrap us up here on the Ticket Puncher. Shout out to Philly Picks, handicapping for us on the show, giving us his best bets of the day as usual. Shout out to Matt Childress, producing this show for us, keeping us up on the airways, making sure we sound good, and giving him his input on the show as well. We'll have that happening more in the summer when Curtis is hosting the show and giving his rundown. Maybe we have a couple of special guests Curtis plans to bring on as well. We'll tease more of that as the weeks pass. But thank you all so much for listening. Shout out to the podcast listeners as well, as we now get up to our highest live viewership number of the day. If you guys want to go back just a few minutes and grab those punches, I won't be mad at you. We'll be back on Friday, 5:30 to 6. Ticket Punchers in our 5:30 to 6 time tomorrow. I'm sorry, three-man front in our time slot tomorrow. If you guys want to tune in, Matt Childress and I on that show, giving all things Louisville Kings talk, and we give some bets out at the end of that show as well. This is going to wrap us up. And Curtis, let the people know. Let's go punch those tickets.
Let's go punch those tickets.
As I believe Matt will, I'm sure, get us on to the break now. And shout out to our live viewers. Shout out to Curtis Phillips, as we are going to wrap the show up a little bit early today. Not going to be much talk after the radio segment of the show. Appreciate you all so much for listening. Curtis, before we get out of here, quickly, it's playoffs, so we've got to give our picks. 76ers, Knicks, who do you like to win?
Man, I'm going to take the Sixers. Still game 2 as a sizable underdog.
Timberwolves, Spurs, 9:30. Who do you like to win?
Timberwolves covers, Spurs win.
Sounds good. I think the Timberwolves cover as well. I think the Spurs win. I think the 76ers cover. I think it's over in 76ers Knicks, and it's probably under in Spurs Timberwolves if the Timberwolves do cover. Without Anthony Edwards, I would imagine being on a crazy scoring spree. With that being said, Curtis, we're out of here. Let's go punch those tickets.
Let's go punch those tickets.